In this tutorial, I'm going to show you how to work some lace stitches on the wrong side of your fabric. Typically, most charts, most knitting, the lace is always on the right side, but there are some more complicated patterns that has lace on the wrong side. Now, there's two different terms for this. There's either knitted lace or lace knitting, and honestly, I'm not really sure which one relates to which. There's one that only has the decreases and yarn overs on the right side, and all the wrong side rows are just purled. And then the other is having both decreases and increases on both sides of the fabric. I'm going to show you how to do some of those stitches on the wrong side because I personally was a little confused as to which way my decreases needed to lay to show right on the front side. But first, I want to show you some differences in the charting. If you look at these three charts at a glance, you would think, even though this chart has more rows in it and this chart has more rows in it, that if you were to look at these three charts, you would think that these two charts would produce the same pattern. However, it's these two charts that actually produce the same pattern. This first chart shows every single row, right side and wrong side rows. The wrong side rows are just empty with a purl row. And the right side rows have the lace knitting. On this chart only shows the right side rows. The wrong side rows are omitted, but you will see as your row numbering goes up, it only shows the odd number of rows, which are the right side rows. And this chart down here, this chart shows every row, but every row has lace on it. So this is what we're going to look at today, is this chart here that we're trying to create the lace pattern on both sides. And I do have a key here to tell me what I'm supposed to do for each. So on the right side rows, I'm going to use this symbol to knit 2 stitches together, and on the wrong side row, I'm going to purl 2 stitches together. On the for this symbol, which is a left-leaning decrease, we are going to use a slip-slip knit on the right side and a slip-slip purl on the wrong side. And both of these we're knitting through the back loop, or we're purling through the back loop. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples of how these patterns work out. So this is the top pattern that I just showed you, and this is that bottom pattern. So you can see that adding lace stitches on the wrong side is going to give you a much more drastic line like that in this particular pattern, whereas here it goes up more gradually. So I'm going to show you how to create these stitches. Okay, I'm going to try and have both my chart and my knitting in screens so you can kind of follow along. We're going to see how that goes. So I have my sample here ready to go, and I actually have a couple of knit stitches on the edge. And now I'm going to follow this chart. Now I am on my wrong side row, and all wrong side rows are knit from left to right. So I'm going to look at the chart, and I'm going to knit 3, and actually have one more to do here. So I'm going to knit 3, I'm going to purl 3 because we are on the wrong side rows, and these blank squares are knit on the right side and purl on the wrong side. So I will purl 3 stitches. And now I have come to my left leaning decrease, And how I'm going to work that is I'm going to slip one and slip one, and then I'm going to slip them back over to that other needle, and then I'm going to purl them through the back loop, which is all the way back around over here. It's a little cumbersome, but in the end, that stitch will be correct. Now I have a yarn over, and so I'm just going to do my yarn over, and then I'm going to purl 3. I have another yarn over, and then I have my right leaning decrease. And the right leaning decrease is a very simple one. This is a purl 2 together, and you're just going to simply do purl 2 together, sticking your needle in the front just like you're going to purl the stitches, and purl them together. Then I'm going to purl 6. I'm sorry, I'm purling 4. I'm on this row here. I'm going to purl 4, and then I have my left leaning decrease again. Again, we are going to slip the stitches first, and then we're going to purl them through the back loop. And whenever you slip your stitches, you're going to slip them as if to knit. So you're going to slip one, and then the other, and then we're going to slip those back on this needle, because we need to purl them through the back loop, and our back loop is over here. This is our back loop, but we're going to have to purl them, so we need to come in kind of from the back angle and purl them. And then we're going to do a yarn over and purl 3, and we have another yarn over. And then we're going to do our purl 2 together. Again, just slipping them in, slipping the needle in to those stitches, purl 2 together, and then purl 3. And then I have a couple of knit stitches at the end, and so I will just knit them. And I'm just going to go through this right side row for you, even though we've already done a tutorial on the right side row, but we want to get to the wrong side row so I can show you that again. So I'm going to just quickly run through this just in case you missed the previous tutorial on how to do lace knitting. So now we are on row 3, and all right side rows are worked from right to left. So we're going to knit 2, and we have our knit 2 together. This is our standard knit 2 together. Then we have a yarn over. Then we have a knit 5. And a yarn over. And then we have an SSK, which is a slip slip knit, and again, just like when we were slipping on the wrong side, on the right side we're going to slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit. And because it's easier to do a knit through the back loop than it is to do a purl through the back loop, all I typically do is I slip my left needle back in the front of those stitches and then knit it, because it's a little easier. I don't have to slip them all the way back onto the left needle. Then we are going to knit 2. And now we have a knit 2 together again, and a yarn over, and a knit 5. And a yarn over, a slip slip knit, and again I just slip my left needle into the front of those stitches and knit, and then we have a knit 2. And actually we have a few stitches here at the end, so I'll just knit those. Now we're ready to go on the wrong side again, and this time we are working row 4. And row 4, we have 3 stitches here. Then we have a purl one, and we have our slip slip purl, which is the left leaning, slip slip purl. So again, we're going to slip, slip, slide them back over to that needle, and then we're going to purl them through the back loop. We have a yarn over, and then we're going to purl across to where our next yarn over goes. I believe it's 7 stitches. And yarn over. And this one is our right leaning decrease, and that one is a simple one where we just insert the needle through 2 stitches at a time and purl them together. And then we have our left leaning decrease again, where we need to slip the stitches before we work them. So we're going to slip one, slide them back to that needle, and then we're going to purl them through the back loop. And again, it's kind of difficult to show you, but what you're doing is you're coming through the stitches from the back side all the way around. So normally you would purl the stitches together this way, but we want to purl them through the back loop. And you can't do it like a knit because it will still get them all twisted. So you must come around this side and purl them together. Then we have a yarn over, and we're going to purl 7. And a yarn over, purl 2 together, the simple one, and then purl 1. And then we have a couple of knits. So that's how it looks so far. Okay, so I'm going to do one more to show you a couple more times on those mostly the left leaning decreases, because those are the most difficult. That purl through the back loop is a little confusing, but I am going to move this out of the way so it's a little less distracting for you. So we're going to look at the same stitches again, and we're going to knit 4, and this is actually, I'm just going to go through this real quick because we want to get to a wrong side row. Okay, so now we are on the wrong side row and we're ready to work our stitches. We have 3 stitches here at the beginning just for our edge stitches. And then we have purl 3. This is our normal purl. And then this is where those crazy stitches come in. And it's just a matter of really looking at the stitches and understanding how to do them. So we're going to slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit, slide those stitches back on to the left needle, and then we're going to purl them through the back loop. And I really hope that you can see where I'm going with this. I'm coming here and I'm going around the back of the stitch so that I can purl it. I know it's very difficult. Oops, let me make sure I get my yarn over in there. It's very difficult to kind of see because of the angle, but it's not as difficult as it looks once you're looking at it in your hand. So we've got our yarn over, and then we've got our purl 2 together. Then we're going to purl 4. and here it is again. Slip as if to knit, slip as if to knit. Slide those stitches back onto that needle, and then scoop the stitches up from the back side right around this way. And then we're going to purl. And purl 3. Yarn over and purl 2 together. So it really isn't that difficult, and I think that once you actually get the knitting in your hand and start playing with it, it's a little easier than you might think. So there is the stitches there. So you can see when I line this up with this sample, you can see that this pattern is forming the same way that that pattern is forming. Whereas on this sample, which is the every other row method, it's very different. So make sure when you are knitting lace that you are checking those row counts to make sure that you are working the stitches correctly, because like I said, sometimes the patterns will only show the right side rows to save space, because this takes up a lot more space than this does on a pattern. And if the rows are just purl, then sometimes the designers will just take the right side rows and put those on there. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope it helped you determine how to do your decreases on the wrong sides. Please check out more of my tutorials on my YouTube channel or on my blog. Thanks for watching. Bye.